Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eminence TV Live, our weekly rundown of tournament cEDH and what's going on in the cEDH community. I'm Scoots, or you can call me by my given name, Scott. As always, I'm joined by Ashani, the Jamaican dude. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Moxfield and the Epic Storm, without whom this would not be so amazing. If you're enjoying Eminence content and would like to see more, please consider subscribing here on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to one channel a month for free. We'd love if you'd consider using that on us. We're also on Patreon at Eminence MTG, patreon.com/Eminence MTG. Your pledge there goes to improve the programs of Eminence cEDH University, among many other things. We'd be so grateful for your support. Some important announcements, things that are coming up. One, I cannot stress this enough. I will be held to a grindstone if I do not say this 7 times through the broadcast, but Silicon Dynasty is taking place in San Jose, California, January 13th through the 15th. It is for sure set to be a great event, and we are so excited to see how wild the West Coast cEDH players go. So hopefully we can see you there. Another thing that should be incredibly wild, but you can do from your living room, is Mox Masters 2, which is taking place this weekend, December 3rd. There are not 35 tickets left. I believe it is sold out. Uh,
Yeah,
but
goodness.
this information is slightly dated, but that is okay. Mox Masters 2 is sold out. It had an entry fee of, I think, $30 a person, and it was an 128 person cap. So the prize pool is suitably quite large. Uh, and we hope that you will go and practice for Silicon Dynasty or Punt City 2 at this particular event. Um, Speaking of Punt City 2, March 24th through the 26th in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, Punt City 2 happens. That is one that myself and Ashani will be at. I look forward to loudly singing Wagon Wheel with you in a boardroom again. The cookout happens July 28th through 30th in Atlanta, Georgia. It's our tournament in the Southeast. Once again, Ashani and I will be on hand. Very excited to be there and see how wild the South goes. And then finally, for upcoming Eminence events, Windmill Slam, September 23rd to the 25th, back in San Jose, California. Sure to be another wild one, and looking forward to being part of the reserve casting team for that and tuning in. It's going to be great. I gotta stop saying Command Tower is live for shops and TOs globally to use. Memberships go from $5 a month. Shop partnerships are now live. The shop partners sponsor a player or players in a main Eminence event. Shops purchase their entry at a discounted rate and hold a cEDH event at their shop, with the winner getting the sponsored ride to a tournament. And when I say sponsored ride, I mean the entry fee. You have to get your own butt there. We reserve 30 tickets for each event for shop partners, and this is an effort to bridge the gap between large-scale event systems like us and LGS level scenes where some of the craziest things happen. We want to support the community and its player bases everywhere. Uh, the other thing that I should add is Silicon Dynasty is a 4K prize pool now. So if you were planning on not going because the 3K prize pool was too meager and not up to your standards, we are 1K, one whole K higher now. So we'd love if you would join us there. I wanted to take a second to talk about the shop partnership program because we actually have a few people taking part in that, and it's so great to see on the Twitter machine. We have Darkside Games LV, which I assume is Las Vegas, having an Eminence qualifier tournament Sunday the 18th of, I'm assuming, December. And that is a win and in. And then we have the Alliance of Military Magic Players had a 32-player commander tournament using the Command Tower software recently, and that's really cool to see. And then another thing that is very cool to see is Aegis Games in Bellingham, Washington, is doing another Eminence qualifier. They say it's the Pacific Northwest Eminence qualifier, and that is so cool. I love that that is happening, and it is a short 9-hour drive from there to San Jose, I think. So win and in, and then get in. Uh, in the chat we have. Wait, is that 5-0 drop Alana? And in fact, it is. Our special guest today, and we could not be more excited to have them, is Alana. Say hello.
Hi.
Where can people find you on the internet?
I just Twitter. I don't use it very often, but if you do want to find me, I'm on there. Mostly for cEDH reasons.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. A few one more important announcement to get into before we start. You all out there may know Timmy T 1000, aka Papa Budget Brews, aka the man who got me to start playing cEDH, and a man that I'm very lucky to call a friend, Timmy T 1000. Um, he runs the cEDH Budget Brews channel, and on November 19th, the computer that was the heart and brain of cEDH Budget Brews has kicked the bucket. And unfortunately, he's not in a place to financially recover from that, so he did start a fund drive for that, and I just wanted to put that in the chat because I wanna, what's the word? Help the homies. Here is the link to
Support,
that.
support the fam, support the community.
And support independent content creators. Most importantly, people who are willing to say the hard things, regardless of how it impacts their channel. Timmy is so good at this kind of thing. And so here is the link in the chat. If you hit up Timmy with some bucks, let us know, and I will give you a shout out on the end of the stream. Getting out of the announcements, Alana, Ashani, every week we talk about some drama from the competitive cEDH subreddit, or not drama, but usually just posts that are relevant. And we have
Icy takes.
the first one, Bosch and Roll, winner of Oktoberfest 2022, has posted their tournament report video on YouTube and their winning deck list on Moxfield. I think this is worth checking out. He says that he documented his weekend, plus added a conversation about tuning Tim Necrom with MTG Pro Matt Sperling. Matt Sperling of having been on this show 2 weeks ago. The tournament report, I know something that happened in the tournament report because I was tagged on Twitter today saying, I'm sorry that I called Scoop Phase Scoots. I know you're different people. My bad. From Brian. So I love that. Was fun. It was fun to get tagged in that. And you know what? If people are going to think that I'm Scoop Phase, I'm winning in this world. And then the second post that we have, and this is where the heat comes, and this is where I will begin the round table. The correct amount of lands to run in cEDH, a new video from Moderately Anonymous MTG. They go into much deeper depth than we will here, but off the cuff, right out of the gut, Alana, what's the right number of lands to run in cEDH? And this is an objective figure. It's objectively correct regardless
I
of what
mean,
deck you're on.
the objectively correct number is 69, but
Okay. All
um,
right. Okay.
I mean, it depends. Like I saw Bryant cut to 24 in Rogsai, and I was honestly while I was playing it the past month or two, I noticed that sometimes you flood out in Rogsai because you're really just looking to draw a lot of action off of wheels and stuff. And like you draw like 3 or 4 lands and you're just really sad. So I think it's fine in Rogsai. Sometimes you get a little punished if the game goes longer, but
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And then in Timnafire and Timnacrom, when I play that, I have like 28. I think 29 is also fine. Anything above that, I think, is just too much. You're drawing enough cards in that deck that I don't think you really ever need to go above that.
Uh, Shani,
So
what about you?
is this in general, or are we just saying wrong size as a whole?
No,
Or
this is, you have to give
This
an
is
objectively correct
objective.
answer, Sean. Objectively correct.
I mean, okay. Objectively correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you get this
Tru-
wrong, people will come
Truthfully,
after you on the internet.
truthfully, I want to say between 28 and 30.
Yeah.
Depends on the strategy.
You're insane. That's way too high.
Listen, Scott, we used to play 32
I
lives.
listen,
Listen,
I know, and then I smartened up. I played
I
cEDH for a
I
few
know
years, and I
I
smartened up.
know, I know we have went through a very big change in the community with better deck building and all of this. But not long ago, we were playing 32 lands in our decks. And then we went to 30, and then 28 was a strong number for a while.
I remember when I
And
dropped to 28 in cats, and I got flamed for
yes,
28 lands.
so I'm like
It was
28,
ridiculous.
then it was 27, and then Joe joined the chat. We were like, is 27 different from 26? And there was this big graph and
Joe did the
stats.
hypergeometric distribution, and it was like 27
Yeah,
is 0.6% different from 26 to have
26.
two lands in a row. So everybody dropped to 26. Big
We have a local that is very proponent of like more lands and decks, and I'm just like, but I don't want to draw that many lands. Like the
This feels
games
like a
don't
Dan
last
take.
that long.
Is this a Dan take? Because
This
Dan's
is
one of the people who
yes.
tore into me for 28 lands and
Yes.
Razzacats.
It's like
Joe O in the chat,
I
by the way,
wanna go
4
to
months.
32, and I'm like, I don't think I ever wanna run 32 lands in one of my cEDH decks.
Yeah, it's so
Listen,
many.
the other day I played Get Wrong and shockingly made it to a top four placement with Frog. And I was like, it's on. I think I played 35 lands in Frog. And I'm like, man, I haven't played a deck like this in so long. Like, you did it in Get Wrong, I understand, but 35 lands? Haven't
Uh,
seen those numbers in a long time.
I was 32 in Gitrog, and that was considered extremely low.
Yeah.
I'm at 26 in most decks that I play, but most decks that I play contain Malcolm at this point, and I flood out
Yeah.
tremendously. Like, I have way too much mana at all times.
I think the lowest number I've seen, I think Eric might be on 23.
He was on 23. I don't think he is on 23. I think a
You're
change
not
happened.
going up to 22. Like, we're playing 60 card numbers for a land base now.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
Rockstar has corrupted our meta with
I
this
don't know if you're
low like
familiar with Bonnie Burton, but Bonnie Burton plays Ikra Rograk
Yeah, there's a Nicaragua list with
Turbo
like
Snoop.
18
Well, it
lands.
was at
That is
18. It was at 18, but they specifically posted on Twitter the thought experiment to see how low I could go is over, and I'm going to a reasonable number, 22. So I think that's the lowest land count that I've seen, except for like Joyra. Used to be on
I think I played
18.
22 on
yeah.
Morrowind. But is Mono Green a deck? I don't know. But yeah.
Debatable.
Ooh, I'm gonna need you to calm down over there. Mono Green is a strategy. The Secret Commander Collector move.
I mean, it is, but like I have mixed feelings after my experience with Yeva at tier 1. It was
But I didn't
yeah,
say yeah, but see? No, see.
fair.
I said, but okay.
Tournament Malcolm
We're
Circles
taking
on 17, says Z-Rob. Okay, that's very low. What's
Okay.
debatable
in
about it? Mono Green is high power, says Joe. Oh, we're firing off the takes in the chat right now.
Mono Green is high power. I can agree with that. I mean, people win with it.
Absolutely. We had another take in the chat. Spite Plays MTG says they run 23 in Tim Najeska, which is
That's a choice.
a lower number than I would be at, because I do like casting Timna
So
in
do
Timna
I.
Jessica. Yeah, so I would be at like 26. I don't know, but
All
Basic
the
Scanner
chat
says
team Ashaya.
Mashaya. Yeah.
What's your land count in the Shire? Give us a quick land count.
Fonzie,
But
drop the land count of Ashaya real quick. All right, moment's over.
all right, cool.
but that was our discussion on the correct amount of lands to run in a cEDH deck. And now that is over. It is time to talk about the real thing that we came here to talk about. Alana, you have a history of playing in tournaments, and you have gone fairly deep in some tournaments. It is fair to say. Um, would you mind catching the chat up to who you are, your tournament standings, that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. I guess I was recovering from surgery, and my friend introduced me to Magic Arena, and to pass the time. And I was like, sure. I like card games. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively. I used to play Hearthstone competitively. And I was like, sure, I'll try Magic. I've heard about it, never played it. And so I went right into limited, and she was like, "Oh, you shouldn't play limited. Like that's complicated. Like don't do that." I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna play limited. It sounds fun. Like I get to draft cards and play." And so yeah, we played Theros Beyond Death limited for a very long time. Very
Yeah,
fun. I also think it's very funny that I've landed in cEDH, and the set I started playing in has Thassa's Oracle and Underworld Breach. So but
naturally.
I did that for a while, and then right before the pandemic started, I went to a local game store, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we mostly play Commander here," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what that is. Like, what is that?" And so I really like Corval because it came out in Throne of Eldraine, which is right around where I started playing as well. And they
Mhm.
like got me the Corval battle deck, and I got some other cards to fill it out to 100, and we played, and it was super fun. Everyone was really nice, and so I started playing Corval. I started powering it up. I started playing Emery, which I adore, and I started powering it up. And then it got to the point where people didn't like what I was doing because they were, quote unquote, too strong.
Mhm.
And they would yell at me, which was very, I don't like confrontation. So really didn't like that. So I was like, isn't the point, like trying to win? Like I was confused. I didn't really get it. And so I found out that cEDH existed. And so I started playing cEDH and haven't looked back. After I got a little more experience online, I went to the Michigan meetup where I met Timmy, who is, wonderful. You guys know Timmy. And he, introduced me to some online communities, and I started playing cEDH more and more. So for fun, to do whatever, I think it was Summer Bloom, Monarch
Okay.
Summer
Yeah.
Bloom tournament. So I entered that with at the time I was playing Timna Crom because Timmy was like, oh yeah, it's just like it's the best deck. Other people say it's the best deck. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, I'll just play the best deck. And I like Timna. Like Timna is very addicting, right? You get to draw cards every turn. Um, so I went to Summer Bloom. I think I went like I think I there was a different tournament that I like scrubbed out completely. I think I went like 1-4, 2-4 or something. It wasn't enough for top 16.
Mhm.
And then there was another Monarch tournament where after Swiss I was fifth overall or something with Tim Necrom. It was my second tournament. So I was fifth in that. And I was really happy about it because it was first time doing really well in a tournament. And I got to I was like right above Ian in Swiss standings, which was really fun because I watched some of his content and I was like, oh, he's such a good player. Still think he's a great player, obviously. And then in semifinals, I got to play against Rebel, which was very fun. Rebel was one of the reasons that I went to the local game store in the first place because I was like, oh, she's playing Magic. That's cool. And so I played Society Giganta for a while, and
I remember.
yeah, it was it was a fun time. The deck is bad. The deck's really bad, unfortunately. But yeah, I went into semifinals against Rebel. I was the only Adnaz deck at the table, so Rebel, convinced them to beat me to death over and over again.
Mhm.
Every available attacker hit me every turn over and over again. Made a few mistakes, like not leaving Crom back for blocking, and yeah, just died to a really bad Adnaz
Mhm.
and scrubbed out in semifinals. So I entered a few little online tournaments after that and didn't do too well. I think like one or two. And then eventually, people started having in-person tournaments again, which I was excited about because I always play better when I play in person.
Mhm.
So Yeah, didn't do too well. I think the first one was Marchesa in Seattle, and didn't do too well. People weren't listening to me. Like, I try to tell them like what's going to happen, what the threat is, and then we'd immediately lose to that threat
Hmm.
because they just don't believe me or didn't want to interact with it. I was really confused,
Yeah.
um, and so I was feeling a bit down about that. I think it went like 2-3, 2-5. It dropped like after that. No one was listening to me. It felt kind of bad. Like even Kobito, who won the whole tournament, he had like a overwhelming board state
Yeah.
on like turn three, and the other Timnacron player played like Oppo Agent, and I was like, oh, good, okay, like we're safe. And then the Kobito played Defense Grid and passed the turn, and then the player with the Op Agent immediately sacrificed it to buy a Diabolic Intent. I was like, oh, we're dead, cool. And so Kobito like won on the stack, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing? Like, oh my god. And so it was not fun, like too fun. Like I felt like I played fairly tight and just lost to other people, like not respecting me or listening
Yeah.
to me. And then we went to tier one, which was really fun. I decided to just I was like maybe it was a thought experiment basically. I was like maybe I can rely on other people to be like the interaction. So I
Hmm.
played Sans Blue. I played Timna Jessica. And it was because I had really good results with it locally. And I was like surprised by it. So I was like, okay, we're gonna go tier one, have fun, play Timna Jessica, and it went terrible. I didn't win a single game. People just like interacted with me only or like didn't have interaction. There
Yeah.
was one pod where Timna Thrasios like land pass and there was a Rogsai in the pod. So I was like, oh, okay, he's holding up interaction for Rogsai. Like this is great. And Rogsai went off and he had nothing. And I was like, what did you keep?
Yeah.
Like what's going on? And so after tier one, I just kind of like was like, I'm never not playing blue again. I
Hmm.
just think it's wrong. Like I just can't rely on people to interact properly, I guess. And then so I was feeling pretty down. Like it was the same thing as Marchesa, like where people wouldn't listen to me.
Hmm.
Um, there was the one Yeva game where there was a Heliod player and a Yeva player, and we went into turns, and I had silence in hand. So I revealed the silence, which the Yeva player immediately called a judge on me and was like, "You can't do that." And I was like, I can." So he was trying to like he was like trying to like get me out for doing that. I don't know. But we were in turns. I was like, "Hey, I can't win under the stacks, but I have silence and I can
Yeah.
stop Yeva from winning on their turn. So all we have to do is just, we can just draw. Like it's fine. We can draw." And the Heliod player was like, "No, I'm going to kill you." And I'm just like, Okay, sure." And so he killed me. And then the Ava player proceeded to win. And it was miserable. That round went like 40 minutes overtime. The Heliod player made him play it out, and the Ava player like didn't understand his line very well, and it just went forever. And Libby was standing there the whole time, and
Yeah.
it was the process. So I was feeling pretty down. I honestly like just kind of wanted to quit cEDH for a while after tier one. Like it happened again where no one was listening to me.
Hmm.
No one respected what I had to say at the table. Um, so I was just like, I'm over it. Like, is this
Yeah.
too hard in a multiplayer format? Like, maybe I'll just go play like a 60 card format or something. But I had already paid for Punt City. So I went into Punt City. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna play. Like I don't know like I don't feel good on any deck at the moment. The only deck I've ever felt good on was when I top 16 in Summer Bloom or whatever with Tim Necrom. So I was like, it's my most played deck. I might as well just go back to it.
Yep.
So I put it back together. I tweaked the list a tiny bit. And then I played like 6 games locally and online right before Punt City, and I won all 6 of them. So I was like, okay,
Feeling confident.
I guess I can still play this deck. So let's do the best we can and just try and have fun. Like I'll just try to maybe not talk to people as much. Just talk like a little bit when I need to, and maybe it'll the silence will like make people leave me alone or like not interact with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we went into Punt City and it went really well. We were undefeated in Swiss, and we were first seed going into finals or semifinals, so
Hmm.
that felt really good. And then and then I had to play Charles in the end in semifinals, and we all know how that went. So,
Yeah.
but it was yeah, and it kind of restored my like, okay, I'm not a bad player, like, and
Hmm.
people actually listened to me in Pun City. I'm like, okay, maybe this is fine, like maybe playing. And then we scrubbed out of like the first Mox Masters in between Pun City and Oko, and then yeah, last weekend we went to Oko, and it didn't start off the best. I mean, well, it did start off, but we won the first game,
Mhm.
and then we proceeded to lose the next few games. And I was like, okay, it's top 40 cut though. Like, there's no problem. We can make this. Like, we just have to win one of the last two games on day two. And the last game on game two was like the grindiest game I've ever played, but we got an early Ristic study,
Mm.
and that allowed me to get there. So yeah, the 16-person event in Vegas. It was fun. I played Rogsai, and there was some questionable decisions on my Naz. I tried to Naz to get interaction on a player trying to win, and the Naz was countered instead. So little weird. Um, yeah, I played top 16 in Oko. It was a pod of Ian, Kian from Sad Naz, and Spleen Face, so pretty stacked pod. Um, and
Yeah.
I was going for like a turn. I think it was turn 2 or turn 3 Oracle Consult, but I ended up having to pact a negation. Not read Morgan's Grand Abolisher, and so I had to use all my mana to pay for pact on my turn.
Mhm.
But Morgan decided that Force of Vigoring my treasure so that I couldn't pay for pact was the right play, which I don't necessarily disagree with him.
Brutal.
And then Ian deflecting spot the Force of Vigor, but also decided that
It's
I
still
needed to
destroy your
die. I
treasure.
yeah, still needed to die. And then Kian from Sadnaz. So I had a Dark Ritual in hand, and on upkeep, in response to my pack trigger, I Dark Ritualed. And Kian had Fierce Guardianship, and he also decided that I needed to die. So
Wow.
uh, I I will always remember that as being the most respected in a pod of what I consider really great players. So that was really fun.
That's a win. That's a W.
But yeah, it's basically my long CDH history. Not too long. Again, I've only been playing Magic for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So
Are you playing in Mox Masters 2 this weekend?
yep, I I just bought a new house, and I'm in the middle of moving, but
Yeah.
I should be able to still play. I think I'm gonna leave my webcam set up here at my place right now, and hopefully still play on Saturday. I know this is a stream about tournament prep, but I probably won't have much time to prep this week. So
It happens. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, it's a fair segue. Like, you went into Summer Bloom. Maybe it was something that you decided you'd enter, and then
Yeah, I was just
you
like,
went deep.
I enjoy Magic. It's
Yeah.
fun, it's addicting, and I was like, I just want to see if I'm any good at it. Like, am I good compared to other people that play it? Which is, I'm a very competitive person. I've always
Mhm.
been a competitive person. I play sports, I do other things competitively. So I tend to turn almost any hobby into a competition.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, am I any good at this? And so
Well,
yeah.
in those times when you are in a situation where you have very little prep or something, because clearly you've done it a couple times, you're
Mhm.
about to do it again. When you're in a situation when you have a low prep for something, what do you kind of focus on as things to be aware of while you're playing the game?
I always try to like so I don't love it, but I do love it. I love making mistakes in games that aren't in tournaments
Yeah.
because generally if I make a mistake, I don't make it again. Like just today, I was taking a break from packing and I was playing some webcam, and I had Defense Grid in hand and I had Silas out, which you don't always have Silas out in
Yeah.
Roxai. So I was like, you forget about it sometimes. So I casted Defense Grid after combat, and as soon as I did it, I was like, oh no, what am I doing? Like I should have cast it, first main, and then it gets countered, whatever, fine, go to combat, cast it again with
You can get
Silas.
it again. Yeah.
And so that's a mistake I made today. And I don't think I'm ever going to make that mistake again because I generally don't tend to like there's one I remember very vividly at locals. I had Crom and Esper Sentinel out, and I had Calling the Weak in hand, but I went for a consult win without sacking either of them. And had I just sacked the Esper Sentinel, I win. And so those are things like I just
Yeah.
don't forget. So I always appreciate making mistakes in non-tournament games because it just kind of broadens what to not do in
Yeah.
the tournament, so
You have a pretty sharp memory for those kinds of things. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a thing. I like to think it's a thing, but I've written both my tournament reports based solely off memory, so I have a
okay.
pretty, like, vivid visual memory, so
You ever get like a flashback mid
oh,
game?
for sure.
Like
For sure. For sure.
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, I've been in this situation before." Like, I know what to do,
the
or I
thought
know what
bubble
not
above your
yeah,
head,
what
and
what
yeah,
not to do.
yeah,
Yes.
excellent. So we talked about your zero prep routine, but when you have time to prepare, what is the first thing you try to hammer out?
Um, I usually just try to decide what deck I want to play. Sometimes I just don't know if, like, if there's certain things going on, but if I do know, and I usually know, I like to only play that deck for the
Yeah,
week or 2 leading up to that tournament. I don't like to jump around a lot. Like, if there's no tournament coming up, I do like to jump, like, I'll switch decks,
yeah.
like, every game. But if there is a tournament coming up, I don't like to switch decks because I think it confuses, like, some of your lines and stuff,
Yeah.
and, I think just focusing on the one deck is really important.
When you're
Um
when you're picking a deck to play, and I don't mean to segue, but when you're picking a deck to play, do you focus on comfortability, or is there an element of looking for the brewer's advantage?
so I think being comfortable is the most important. I went into tier 1 with Timna Jessica, which is a deck I'm less comfortable on. I played it enough to know what's going on, and I've played, black red decks enough to know what's
Yeah.
going on. But there's a lot of nuance in a deck like Timna Jessica, especially because I was on World Gorger Abdel stuff, which is
Mm,
like it's not super complicated, but like there's little nuances that like I was kind of discovering throughout tier 1, which is
yeah.
not where I want to be discovering those things. And so I'm very, very familiar with breach things, and it's one of my favorite cards. So generally, if the deck doesn't have breach, I probably won't play it during a tournament anymore
Mhm.
because it's a card I love. And I mean, have you read the words on Underworld
I
Breach?
know, right?
It's busted.
There are worse pet cards to have than Underworld
Yeah.
Breach, I guess.
I mean,
Um,
my absolute favorite pet card is Bullet Citadel, but it breaks so easily in cEDH. You don't get enough turns to really
it's
really
mine
take
too.
advantage of it. Yeah.
Mine too, and I watch people removing it from Malcolm Vile Smasher, and I cry a little bit inside every time.
Yeah, I do too. I just like as much as I love the card, it's not good enough, I don't think.
I
Ashani
think
hates Bolus Citadel.
I do. But I think with a low land count now, we maybe can revisit it.
Yeah, it's like I know like I've been playing around with it in Roxy, and I know Bryant has as well, and so is Alex, and but like it, it hasn't felt good yet, but I mean it's definitely can be good. I can see how it can be good. But yeah, hitting like 2 lands off of it, you're just like, "Oh gosh, okay, well, what do I do now?"
Yeah. You have played a lot of Rogsai lately. Not
Mhm.
to reveal information out of school here, but are you thinking about bringing Rogsai to the rest of the tournaments that you're going to play in this year? And
I'm not sure. I really like the deck. I'm more of an aggressive player, so sometimes I feel like it play fits my playstyle a lot
hmm
more than Timicrom. But at the same time, like EDH games, sometimes just out of your control can turn into these awful, like messy board states that are grind fest.
yeah,
And as much as I love Rogsai, it's definitely its weakness. Like unless you can find Ristic Study, it's very bad at grinding.
yeah.
Ooh, can we say that
Oh,
again? Put that on record.
Yes, you could quote
hmm.
me, sure.
Man,
Sweet.
It doesn't have the inability to grind. It's just harder to grind, right? Like
Bryant, are you
you,
here? Quick.
like Timnacrom, you have Timnacrom in the command zone, right? It's much easier to find your grind plan.
White
Rox,
cards are good. Yes.
I mean, the few white cards that Timnacrom plays, yes, are good.
Yes.
They're very
Absolutely.
Okay,
good.
all right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The amount of times that I wish I could put Savine's Wreck into Rogsai
Oh,
is way too high. Way too high. If I could have one white card in Rogsai, that's the one
would it be Savants?
I think so, yeah. That card is just
Ooh.
so nice.
Because of
Like
Underworld
I
Breach.
Yes,
I
because like
agree. I agree.
if I can play Savines, I can put intuition in Rogsai. And if you
Yeah.
can run intuition in Rogsai, that's just disgusting. Like
I think I'll stay with Ranger Captain.
that's fair. I mean, Ranger Captains would probably be my second choice.
It's
Cannon
busting.
Shots in the chat says, very intimately familiar with what the deck does, put Timna and Chrome into play and doesn't do, win matches in the cEDH format. I just have no idea where the name came from. I love
I
the
don't
the
either.
copy
I
pasta.
just go with it. I memeingly call my deck a Blue Thief because there's
Blue
Blue
Thief.
Farm and
Okay.
Opus Thief,
All
and I
right.
just think all the names are so stupid. But
cEDH
it,
deck names are pretty stupid, and
yes,
and a
like
take that we have received in the recent past is that people believe cEDH deck names are exclusionary to players trying to enter the format fresh. Like,
yeah, I just call it Timnacrom. It's basically always the same deck. You might flex like 10 to 15 cards or whatever, but it's the same deck.
I'm not sure if this is harassment if I say this, but Chaotic Sparks in the chat says, "Tell Alana to sack me."
Oh yeah. As an aside story, we were playing casual at Mikey's in between Oko nights, and we were playing a casual EDH game, and I had a goat token, and Manny is
Manny is
My
the goat.
goodness.
the
Manny
goat,
is the goat.
obviously. I had a goat token, and the thing that made the goat token also could sacrifice it to draw cards. So
Is it?
yeah,
Was it
always
trading
always sack.
post?
Yes, it was always
A
sack
big
Manny to draw
trading.
cards.
I'm a big trading post fan. I in one of the few games of casual that I've played in the last year, I was playing like the new Akiri, and I was just abusing trading posts to make O1 goats and mess with
Yes,
people's lives.
yes.
Love that card. Cannon
We
Shot
were
says
playing.
thoughts on Rogside 20XX supremacy. Okay. Okay.
uh,
That
yeah.
can never happen. Rockstar's not a good enough deck to have a supremacy. But Z-Rob,
Oh,
I mean,
Shawnee, you can't just
I
say
mean,
these things.
I will say these things, and I
People
will.
are gonna they're gonna come for you, Shani.
Listen, this cult has grown too strong, and it needs to be reduced. I cannot believe you have joined the cult of
Hey,
Rogside.
hey, the deck's fun, man.
The deck, sure, but I saw so many people have lost to the dark side recently, and
I'm not on the
I
dark
can't.
side. I could go back to Tentacrom at
Hey,
any
Sean.
moment.
There we go. Well done.
Hey, Sean.
Sure. What's
Didn't
up, Scott?
didn't you play Rogsai?
Oh, what? No, that's not on record.
No,
Hey, Sean, I
Ian was calling me the villain for playing Rogside Oko, but I know very well that Ian played Rogside for a very long time.
That
good
was not
deck.
on record. I will not accept that I have played Rockside.
Okay, but on
Mm.
record, you have played Rogsai.
I will not comment on that matter. But Z Rob has cut Savines. What is wrong with Zane? Zane, please calm down. Put Savines back in your deck.
C-Rob says they have the screenshot. So, receipts, Ashani, you better start backpedaling,
Oh,
bud.
oh no. Pictures I didn't happen. But anyways,
Okay.
I will
All
not
right.
accept.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Do you have a routine the day of a tournament? Like, do you make a special tea in the morning? I mean, what do you do? Like, my routine is
Um,
I drink a diet cherry Pepsi and cry in my hotel room. But like, I don't.
no, no, it's mostly like wake up early enough to get ready if it's an in-person tournament,
Yeah.
I wear makeup. I like to look nice. I think it helps mentally to just like look nicer or like be more confident. And then I don't know. I try to grab some caffeine. I hadn't drank caffeine for like 2 years, but lately, with all the stress in my life, I've gone back to the caffeine. So lately, before tournaments, I've been drinking some caffeine, waking up, and I've been functioning better with it. So
Good. Caffeine. I like caffeine. I'm what you would call a caffeine addict.
yeah, it does the thing. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the perfect thing to add to your stressful life is a stimulant to really take it over the edge. So,
Right, yeah.
um,
Yeah, no, there's no routine. Like I don't really try to go fish. I try to think about anything but magic before the
okay.
tournament.
Okay.
I don't like I think I also try to have low expectations. I don't think putting pressure on yourself is really going to help. Like you don't have to win. You don't need to win. I think just being clear-minded and just open to certain lines that you find yourself in are better than like trying to hard focus on like, oh, I need to win this game. I need to do this. I need to do that.
Yeah, let's expound on that a little bit because in the past we've had people say mindset is the biggest thing for them, and if you think winning thoughts, you can win.
Yeah,
And
I just disagree so heavily, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I approach is like I don't. It's just too much pressure. Like you can put pressure on yourself for a lot of things, and
right,
like just like trying to be like, oh, I need to win. I need a top 16. I need a top four. Like I think it's too much. I think with how much variance is in EDH, especially, and
yeah,
just in Magic in general, like trying to tell yourself that like, oh, I need to win, and like every like winning is the most important thing that's going to happen from this tournament is just too much in
you're
my
setting
opinion.
yourself up to be
Yeah,
disappointed.
you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed. Like there's a lot of things that are out of control in EDH specifically, right? Like someone could completely throw your game for you.
Yeah,
Like that you can't account for stuff like that. Like you can vent about it, you can be like a little angry, but you need to let it go for the next round. So
yeah. So that is a good transition point to the next thing. When you are, because you mentioned, and this was great because I wanted to hit on this, and then you've thrown me the softball so I can hit it out of the park. But you mentioned at the beginning of the program that people just didn't listen to you in your early politicking attempts. Is there how do you I guess the question is, how important do you feel politics is to cEDH gameplay, and how have you approached changing your political game over time?
I mean, I think it's like simultaneously the least important, but also the most important thing in the game.
Yeah.
Like when it's important, it's really important, but sometimes you just have all the cards you need and it's not
Hmm.
important at all. Like you just don't care. But you can't always have all the cards you need. So I think it's really important to be just genuine and like nice to the people in the pod. If you come off as hostile, then people aren't going to want to listen to you.
Yeah.
You I like to try and create just like a friendly atmosphere while I'm playing in tournaments in
Yeah.
EDH tournaments because I found that the people are definitely more likely to listen to me instead of being like very like tactical and closed off. So I like to try at least sneak in a few jokes and I just have more fun playing that way as well. It relaxes me. So
What's your go-to
um,
joke?
just internet shit posts and memes,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
mostly like there's always like the tongue in cheek jokes within the community
You
and
you kids and your
most of it is off
keyboard
of that.
cats.
Yeah. It seems to work better. I think if you can like build a little bit of a rapport during the game,
Yeah.
the people are more likely to listen to you. And also like you can't outright lie to people. It might work once or twice, but people will definitely catch on to you just outright lying to them. Like so things like you still want to be vague about your information. Obviously,
Yeah.
information is really important, but like things like I do have something, but it's not very good here. So like if you could deal with it, like I think it's better for us. Or like like my answer to this is I have an answer, but it's a better answer for something else. So if you can deal
Yeah.
with this, I can deal with something later on someone else's turn, like, stuff like that.
I find there is a sharp divide between people who think that outright lying is the correct strategy and people who think that even omission of information is lying and should be punished.
So I think smartly omitting stuff is very smart is smart. Like
Yeah.
you should omit stuff when you can. You should be as vague as possible because giving up too much can give a good player way too much of an edge.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like sometimes you just need to tell people what you have. It's a weird balance, honestly. Like there's a lot of things you can say that could like lose you the game when you have certain things in hand because then people
Yeah.
know what to play around. So It,
So
it's
unfortunately for
hard.
Magic players,
It's really
yeah.
hard for sure. Yeah.
So
It
unfortunately
has
for Magic players, some level of social skills are required to succeed.
I think so. I think, I mean, like, you can't just always have it all. You can't just always have the perfect cards. I think you definitely do need to, like, kind of socially work yourself into the game at some point. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't come up in games at all. But when it does come up, it's really important. Um, in quarterfinals in Oko, it was very important.
Mhm.
I had no way to generate value, and there was a rule of law out, and everyone had blockers for my Ragavan. So I was like, genuinely, I was just like, hey, like, do you one of you guys want? Because they were both Grixis decks as well as me. So I was like, hey, do you guys want to let me in to see if we can find something to get rid of this rule of law? And the Inall player volunteered to let my Ragavan in, and unfortunately, it ended up losing him the game. But I genuinely wasn't trying to win off the Ragavan hit. It just happened. I just happened to hit the right card to win.
Yeah.
So, like, I
So are
think
you so are you saying that people who are too harsh and aggressive don't their politic line doesn't work as much?
I
You are
I mean, I think so. It's hard to like I personally don't want to listen to someone that's like berating me or being very negative or very aggressive in the way they're talking to me. I'll just probably end up ignoring them.
Yeah.
It makes me not want to work with them basically, right? It's like a coworker relationship, right? If you have a coworker that is being extremely rude to you, you're much less likely to want to help to them, even though you're trying to work towards the same goal of,
Yeah.
completing a work project. Whereas, an EDH, your same goal is not dying to the person presenting a win. Sometimes you have to work together to stop somebody so that you can win or survive another turn. So
fair. I don't know. I never really taken the approach of. I think I've been nice in pods, but I've been playing with Scott and Timmy for so long that niceness isn't really the way
Where
to
is this
go
going,
sometimes.
Sean? Where is
yeah.
this
I don't know.
going?
No, I
So,
don't know.
I mean, this is another line, right? Like, so my semifinals pod in Oko was all people I know. I knew everyone, and so it's much harder to bullshit to the people you know.
Yeah.
That's where, like, you don't rely so much on politics. You rely on, like, what information can you give up to them that they'll still, like, maybe let you get away with a little something. But it's much harder when people know you really well. It's much harder, obviously.
So your advice to new players would be don't make friends and alienate yourself to other people.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't alienate yourself. My favorite part about EDH is the community. Like it's so fun seeing everyone at tournaments. Like, even if you do
Yeah,
poorly, like,
exactly.
people will pick you up and be like, "Hey, it's fine. Like, it's just a game, and
Yeah.
we're actually here to just hang out and have fun." So
Yeah. I
I do
remember
agree with that. Yeah.
I remember my favorite part of the tournament experience being uh, going to Moe's afterwards and listening to everyone complain about how average it was.
yeah,
So
some of my favorite moments from tournaments are, like, not like, the games are very fun to talk about and it's fun
yeah,
to look back on, but, like, going out to dinner with people and just talking and, like, having some good food is, like, some of my favorite times. So
Moe's was
Uh,
goaded in the chat. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. But yes, with the homies was 10 out of 10. That is correct. So there's a huge social experience that's part of cEDH, and the guests have gone either way on it being important, but we agree in that I think it is kind of important to like realize that you are playing a game with other people at
yeah,
the heart of all
like
of
I
it.
said, I think it's simultaneously the least important and most important
Most
thing in the
important
game,
thing.
right? Like, sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes it's not important, but sometimes it is very important. Like,
mind controlling is always important.
I mean, yeah, mind controlling is great.
Mind control
Yeah.
is a valuable skill, and if you're a 20-something Canadian man, you innately have that skill, as evidenced by sick and spleen. The rest of us
Yeah,
have to work
yeah,
at
they're
it.
they're very good at it.
So
That's for
totally
sure.
agree.
The
So
rest of us
maybe
have.
we just need to work on it together as a team.
It's a
I
weird
cannot.
skill, and, like, I mean, it's not always gonna work. Like, you can perfectly be friendly and say the right things, and someone will just not listen to you anyway, and that's fine
Uh,
too.
yeah, people don't listen to me, so I gave up on mind control.
Yeah, and the
Like,
good thing is that I have successfully mind controlled people into not listening to Ishani. That's my skill in the world, actually. We played so many games together that I was like, he's just trying to win. Don't listen to him.
Don't
And
listen to him.
eventually
Yeah.
people
I was,
believed it.
I was like, when Alana was saying, she don't listen to people aggressively, I'm like, how did we meet, actually? Because I'm like, I can be a tad salty at times.
How did
You're
we meet?
salty, but I never found you aggressive. Like, I
That's
mean,
good. That's good.
yeah.
I'm like,
I think, I mean, very few people I've found like aggressive in EDH, and it doesn't happen very often. It's just
Yeah.
like that, like, uh, it's more like cold, or like there's sometimes like people will say things that are just like super unbelievable. I think
Hmm.
one of the most recent ones that spring to mind is that I think it was an Oko, um, the Timnacrom player. I think yeah, it's Trevor, the guy who was in top four. He attacked with Timna with 5 mana available to cast Crom, and then played another black source or something. I think no, he already had the two black sources, and 5 mana. So I'm like, and he didn't cast Crom to attack with Timna, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, so you have Ad Naus in hand. Like you're just telling me that you have Ad Nauseum in hand. Like there's very little reason to just not cast Crom here because he would have had mana open even after casting Crom. So I'm just like, and he's like, oh, I just wanted to see the card before I cast Crom because he ended up casting Crom anyway, and I was just like, that's really like
That's weird.
it's a
Yeah.
really weird play. So like there's definitely like you have to know what is in the format because sometimes people will try and bullshit you like and they want to, right? They don't want you to think that you have
Yeah.
anything. And so yeah, you just have to kind of know what the play patterns are in the format to know to be good at politicking. You still have to be good at Magic
Yeah.
to be good at politicking. So
oh, okay, so that's the first step I need
that's
to
the
work
first
on.
step. Yeah,
So the
you still
first
have to
step
be
is
Little,
good
be
at
good
you
at
still have to be good
magic.
at Magic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a
yeah.
long way to the top, I guess.
We're on the way. We
All
must
right.
start from being good in Magic. All right.
So number
Taking
one,
notes,
get
taking
good.
notes.
Number two, make friends. Number three, win. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula if you think
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean, also, don't take my word for it. I just get to semifinals and lose. So
Oh, well, you know what? Everyone will have their day someday. Ian recently had his, and that's after years of
I mean, Ian
grinding.
has been playing very well this year. He's
Yeah.
been lot of top fours
Yep.
and a win. So
The win was it was his first, but I'm sure there'll be many more in the future, and the same for you. I have to do a couple of announcements before we get to my favorite part of the program, the lightning round. So I will just before I do those announcements, I will give you the floor to tell people, if you want to, where they can find you again on the internet.
just on Twitter, Happy Fox Alana. I don't use it very often, but I do check it like once a week or something. If you want to find me on Discord, it's Ara2096. I'm mostly on Discord, so
Winning games against me and my friend. Uh,
true, true.
Chaotic Sparks says, ask our special guest if she has gotten to experience the best meta ever, the Flash Hulk meta.
No, so I started
Bummer.
playing right after it was banned, I believe. So yeah, I started playing Magic and right near the end of Throne of Eldraine, right when Theros Beyond Death
Yeah.
was revealed,
Yeah.
and I wasn't playing EDH at all. So by the time I got to EDH, Flash was already banned. It was not a thing anymore.
Oh,
Um,
you
but
have no idea.
I have heard the horror stories.
It wasn't horror
The
stories, it was beauty.
happiness
It was
stories.
Oh,
happy.
really? Okay, yeah. No,
Uh,
I heard a bunch of people complain about it to me.
they're weak. They were weak.
Yeah, I was like, I actually don't think it would be that bad right now. Like,
No,
it
I
seems
think it'll
fine,
be fine.
honestly. Yeah, it should
Totally
be
agree.
fine.
Unban Flash. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
Please,
All
like
right.
unban
I
Flash.
unban gifts while you're at it. That card's
Hold
Yeah,
on,
fine.
I got a
keep
tweet.
Paradox Engine banned though. I don't need that
Oh
card.
my god. So yeah, so Emery was my first CDH deck, and I was looking at Paradox Engine like on some website, and I was like, wow, why aren't people running Paradox Engine? And I was like, oh, it's banned. Okay, that makes me sad.
There you go. I've tagged you in an annoying Twitter post.
Perfect.
It says at Happy Fox Alana unbanned gifts. So the internet will love
I
that, I'm
mean,
sure.
gifts is great. So
Yeah, I mean, if intuition is fine, then gifts should be fine.
theoretically.
To the announcements. Everybody, Mox Masters 2 is this weekend. It is sold out, but if you want coverage of that, you can go to Playing with Power YouTube channel. I think Ashani will be taking part
Yep.
coverage, as well as Drake, Viral Drake, who is just a monster Magic player and has a great analytical mind. So the coverage is going to be on point. Coming up, January 23rd through the 25th. I got it right. No, 13th through the 15th. Gosh darn it. January 13th through the 15th in San Jose, California, we have Silicon Dynasty. It is a 4K prize pooled event. It is going to be amazing. The playmats are amazing. If you
Yes,
if you
they are.
want one of those, you should go and get one and have everybody sign it because they're incredible. Uh,
I'm
and
pretty sure you guys are having a contest of a few of your people of who can buy for the most playmats from somebody, and if you should buy them from somebody, buy them from Adam. We want Adam to win.
Adam, okay, Adam,
Yeah.
excellent. Uh, that contest, I don't think it was live yet, but start buying playmats from Adam.
Yeah, yeah. Get them from Adam.
Or me, please, me. I would like me if that's okay.
Sorry, Scott, I love you, but your boy Adam, he
Yeah,
needs
no,
to
I
win.
know. I'm not Adam.
He needs
Okay.
a win, okay? He
We
We
needs
need
a
to
can't
win
all
win.
be
somewhere.
Adam. We can't all be Adam.
I mean, we have to give him a win somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we have to give him a win. Come on.
And then
I agree.
the last thing I wanted to highlight before we went to the lightning round is once again, Timmy T1000 is in a bad spot with cEDH budget brews, and that is such valuable community content that I just think we need to support the man, get behind him, and enable him to keep making it. So I'm once again dropping the link to the fund drive to replace the computer that pooped the bed. We want him to get back online as soon as possible. So there's the link in the chat. Anything that you can do helps. Let us know if you do it. I'll give you a shout out on the stream next week. Finally, Ara, Alana, we come to the lightning round. It's the most important round in the stream, and
I'm afraid.
it's just two questions.
Okay.
The first question is, what other than Magic the Gathering are you really passionate about lately?
Oh, that's easy. Volleyball. I
Okay.
love volleyball. I played in college. I still play. I just lost in a finals in a tournament on Sunday, so I love volleyball.
Nice. Is it like intramural volleyball or adult league or
Yeah, it's like competitive adult leagues.
nice?
This Sunday league was a 4v4 indoor. I'm the setter for our team, and yeah,
Nice.
we lost in finals. It's a little heartbreaking, but very fun. Super competitive.
Awesome. And the second question, the most important question that I will ask anyone during the course of the show, and it is this: Lana, what is the sexiest soup?
Sexiest soup.
Hmm?
Oh, I feel like it has to be lobster bisque. I don't know. It just seems fancy.
A popular answer.
Yeah,
All
it
right,
just seems
folks, you heard it
fancy.
here. Yeah, it is fancy. All right, folks, you heard it here. Lobster bisque, another tally in the win column for lobster bisque. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I am Scoots. You can find me on the internet at It's Me Scoots on Twitter. Ashani, where can the people find you?
Find me on Discord as Jamaican Dude and Twitter as Jashani.
JA_Johnny. And you don't want to give out your real life Facebook anymore.
Oh my goodness. Stop it, Scott.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel with another guest that can't be as good as this one, but we'll try. Everybody, have a good week, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me.